Let's speak to Stéphane, who perhaps will talk us into that with just a little bit of analysis on the numbers. Stéphane.
Let's talk about the numbers first. They are stronger than expected, 1.36 billion euros for the last year. That's to compare with a net loss of nearly 1.4 billion euro a year ago. This is due to a lower than expected cost of risk, and the CEO of the bank, Baudoin Prot, is confident that the cost of risk would continue to decline in 2010. The revenue is slightly below the average forecast for the fourth quarter. However, and that was the interesting point, the investment banking activity remains strong in the fourth quarter and the trends are still positive. It's also what Baudoin Prot told the CNBC. We took the time also to talk about other issues such as Greece and the situation in the country, and also about the Basel III negotiation and how this could impact the European banks.
All in all, I think our revenues were a bit higher than expected, and cost of risk was lower than expected. That really made up for the difference. Altogether, I think we had a good last quarter and finishing a strong year for BNP Paribas.
What about the investment banking activity? How was the last quarter of the year, and how do you see the beginning of 2010?
The performance in the last quarter was still strong, at 2.2 billion euros of revenue, with fixed income certainly a bit lower than in the third quarter, but equity derivatives did well, and financing also remained strong. And well, we're positive that the beginning of the year turns to be good. Certainly, the first half of last year and first quarter was exceptional, but I think we still are positive on the trends. BNP Paribas has gained a lot of market share, and we see client business and client-driven business coming to the CIB platform still quite active.
What about the cost of risk? It was significantly lower in the last quarter of 2009. Are you confident that it's going to decrease progressively through this year?
I think that we saw the peak in the cost of risk toward the end of last year. As you mentioned, the cost of risk at 1.9 billion euros was down 17% compared to the third quarter of last year. We certainly saw cost of risk coming down in the corporate investment banking activities and financing activities. I think that we have certainly, hopefully we're turned the peak at Bank West. I think we're turned the peak also in the emerging markets. Altogether, we would expect the cost of risk at group level for this year, for 2010, to be altogether a bit lower than last year, yes.
Are you worried about the situation in Greece for the European economy, but also for your business at BNP Paribas?
Well, I think for BNP Paribas, our exposure in terms of the Eurozone economy is really centered where we have domestic markets and retail activities, namely France, Italy, Belgium, and now Luxembourg. So our exposure to Greece is limited. I think it's very important that European governments and European authorities find some proper solution to the Greek problems, because of the risk of a domino effect if the Greece problem was not properly dealt with.
The Basel III negotiations are still going on. Are you worried that the new capital requirements could hurt European banks?
There is still quite a risk that the new, not only capital, but also liquidity requirements would be far in excess of not only what would be needed, but also what would be optimal for the European economy. I think in Europe, banks still play a very important role in how they finance SMEs and also mortgage loans and household. And I see no reason for this traditional part of intermediated bank finance to the economy to suffer excessive requirements of either capital or excessive requirements of term liquidity. As for BNP Paribas, we've certainly moved on very much. We have reinforced our equity Tier 1 ratio from 5.4 to 8%. We've added another 20 billion core equity to our capital, and we have also very much increased our liquidity buffers. So I don't say we shouldn't move, but since we have made already enormous progress, I think from where we stand today, we shouldn't go much higher.
What's your position on bonuses? Did BNP Paribas really cut down on bonuses, or you just postponed the payment?
We were fairly active among the banks that design the new rules. And what we've done is we have applied certainly restriction and moderation to the level of the bonus envelope, and then we also applied the new rules, and one of them is certainly that more than half of the bonuses are now deferred over 3 years, with a condition and with a clawback, clear clawback rules.
BNP Paribas was kicking off the earnings season in the French banking sector. We'll have tomorrow the numbers from Société Générale, which issued a profit warning a couple of weeks ago. And next week we'll have Dexia and Crédit Agricole. Crédit Agricole, which is probably most exposed to Greece because it has a unit in Greece, Empokiri. So we'll talk to the bank and see if this is a real issue for Crédit Agricole. Steve, I send it back to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed for that, Stefan. Let me